Three players in NFL history have rushed for over 2,000 yards and won a Super Bowl: Eric Dickerson, Terrell Davis, and Jamal Lewis. Two of them are in the Hall of Fame. The third, Lewis, isn't even in the conversation most of the time. How is that possible? For a man who set the single-game rushing record with 295 yards and amassed over 10,000 career rushing yards, Lewis remains criminally overlooked in football's pantheon.
Jamal Lewis will have a season for the ages.
Fifth man ever with 2,000.
The Baltimore Ravens select Jamal Lewis, running back.
Despite these remarkable achievements, he's disappeared from discussions of all-time greats. Was he overshadowed by flashier contemporaries, or were there legitimate gaps in his game? Today, we're analyzing every season, every statistic, and every significant moment to answer. How good was Jamal Lewis actually? Before anyone knew the name Jamal Lewis as an NFL champion or record breaker, he was carving his legacy on the high school fields of Atlanta. At Douglas High School, Lewis dominated football with a ferocity that made Friday nights feel like glimpses into the future. The young running back's combination of speed and power was evident as he racked up an astounding 4,879 rushing yards across 3 seasons, punctuated by 68 touchdowns that left defenders and spectators alike in disbelief. His senior year showcased the full spectrum of his abilities, as Lewis found the end zone 25 times and earned both All-State and All-City honors. College scouts particularly took notice after his performance in the Georgia-Florida All-Star Game, where he averaged an eye-popping 12.4 yards per carry, gaining 137 yards on just 11 attempts while scoring twice. This dominance revealed the punishing running style that would eventually make NFL defenders dread seeing him in the backfield. Lewis's progression through high school revealed remarkable evolution, starting with 1,240 yards as a sophomore, then exploding to 1,923 yards and 28 touchdowns in his junior year. Each season showcased not only his raw ability, but his disciplined refinement of technique, becoming increasingly dangerous with every handoff. This raw brilliance caught the eye of college scouts, leading him to the challenging crucible of the Southeastern Conference. In January 1997, Lewis committed to the University of Tennessee, where he would don the number 31 jersey and pursue studies in arts and science, balancing the demands of major college football with academic responsibilities. The opportunity to share a backfield with quarterback Peyton Manning in 1997 gave Lewis an early taste of playing alongside NFL-caliber talent. This partnership proved invaluable as he operated within a sophisticated offense led by one of college football's premier signal callers. A pivotal moment came through a confrontation with offensive coordinator David Cutcliffe, who bluntly informed Lewis that he would never play for him because of his practice habits. Lewis locked eyes with Cutcliffe and responded with unwavering resolve. "I'm a gamer, coach." That spark of accountability transformed his approach to preparation, developing a professional maturity that would serve him throughout his career. His college journey hit a roadblock in 1998, with a torn lateral collateral ligament limiting him to just 5 games. Lewis returned in 1999 with renewed purpose, accumulating 816 rushing yards and 7 touchdowns. By the conclusion of his 3-year collegiate career, Lewis had amassed 2,677 rushing yards and 3,161 all-purpose yards, becoming the 5th leading rusher in Tennessee history. The combination of Lewis's physical running style, proven productivity, and demonstrated resilience made him an intriguing NFL prospect, though questions about his durability followed him into the draft process. Despite the injury concerns that followed him to draft day, Lewis would silence his critics in a way few rookies ever have. When the Baltimore Ravens selected him 5th overall in the 2000 NFL Draft, they weren't just drafting a running back, they were adding the final piece to a championship puzzle. The Ravens already boasted one of the most feared defenses in NFL history, but their championship ambitions hinged on something few recognized at the time. They desperately needed offensive balance to complement their defensive dominance. The Ravens front office made a calculated gamble. They bet that Lewis's combination of size, speed, and power would transform an offense that had previously struggled to establish an identity. For a team built around defensive stalwarts like Ray Lewis and Rod Woodson, Jamal represented the missing ingredient that could push them from contenders to champions. The pressure to prove himself at the NFL level was immense, expectations that would have crushed many first-year players. From the moment Lewis stepped onto the field, he displayed a maturity and physical presence that belied his youth. The Ravens handed him the keys to their offensive attack, and watched as he responded with an exceptional rookie campaign. Amassing 1,364 rushing yards and 6 touchdowns, Lewis became the offensive centerpiece they had desperately needed. Lewis's rookie performance featured consistent excellence week after week. His breakout came in Week 4 against the Cincinnati Bengals. There, he bulldozed his way to 116 yards and a touchdown in a commanding 37-0 victory. Like a gathering storm that transforms the landscape, Lewis's arrival reshaped the Ravens' offensive identity. As the season progressed, Lewis continued to reach new heights. In Week 12 against the Dallas Cowboys, he became the youngest player since 1960 to record 200 yards from scrimmage in a single game. Just 1 week later against the Cleveland Browns, Lewis punished defenders with 170 rushing yards on 30 carries, helping secure a dominant 44-7 victory. These performances validated the team's faith in the rookie. Lewis's physical running style created the perfect offensive complement to Baltimore's defensive identity. While Ray Lewis and company terrorized opposing offenses, Jamal wore down defenses with his punishing approach. This balanced attack transformed the Ravens into legitimate Super Bowl contenders. When the playoffs arrived, Lewis elevated his game further. In the wildcard round against Denver, he rumbled for 110 yards and 2 touchdowns. The culmination came on football's biggest stage, Super Bowl 35 against the New York Giants. Lewis delivered a championship-caliber performance, rushing for 103 yards and scoring a touchdown in Baltimore's 34-7 victory. Lewis's rookie campaign accomplished what few first-year players ever manage. He had become an essential component of a championship team. For a player who had faced questions about his durability coming out of college, Lewis answered his critics in the most emphatic way possible, with a Super Bowl ring. That championship ring should have been the first chapter in a legendary career. But fate had other plans for Jamal Lewis. Just months after hoisting the Lombardi Trophy, his promising trajectory came to a devastating halt in the summer of 2001 when he suffered a catastrophic knee injury during training camp. The diagnosis was brutal: a torn ACL and sprained MCL that would force him to miss the entire 2001 season. For a player who had just silenced durability concerns with a championship rookie campaign, the injury was cruelly ironic. The rehabilitation tested his physical limits and mental fortitude. While his teammates defended their title, Lewis found himself isolated in the lonely world of recovery, facing doubts about whether he'd ever regain his explosive power. Many promising careers had been permanently derailed by similar injuries. When Lewis finally returned to the field in 2002, he showed remarkable resilience. Starting 15 of 16 games, he accumulated 1,327 rushing yards and 6 touchdowns, numbers that would constitute a career year for most running backs. Yet subtle differences were apparent. The acceleration wasn't quite the same. The cuts weren't as sharp. His comeback season revealed a player still rebuilding what had been lost. While Lewis was battling to overcome physical limitations, an even greater challenge emerged. In February 2004, federal authorities charged him with conspiring to possess with intent to distribute drugs and using a cell phone in the commission of the crime. The allegations stem from Lewis allegedly helping broker a drug deal for a childhood friend during the summer of 2000. The stakes were enormous. If convicted of the conspiracy charge, Lewis faced at least 10 years behind bars. After reaching a plea agreement in October 2004, Lewis pleaded guilty to the lesser charge of using a cell phone to facilitate a drug transaction, receiving a 4-month prison sentence, along with 2 months in a halfway house and community service. Throughout this crisis, the Ravens organization provided crucial support. Ravens president Dick Cass made their position clear: "We will continue to support and believe in him. He has admitted his mistake and is prepared to move on. We are prepared to move on with him." Released from prison on June 2, 2005, Lewis returned to the field with renewed purpose, rushing for 1,132 yards and 9 touchdowns in 2006. What could have been the end of his story became a powerful middle chapter. The journey through injury and imprisonment revealed dimensions to Lewis that transcended his physical talents: the resilience required to rehabilitate a shattered knee, the humility needed to accept responsibility for his mistakes, the determination to rebuild his reputation yard by yard, carry by carry. These experiences forged a mental toughness that would prove as valuable as his natural gifts. The mental fortitude that defined Jamal Lewis was about to manifest in one of the most extraordinary seasons the NFL had ever witnessed. As the 2003 campaign approached, Lewis wasn't just physically healed, he was mentally transformed. The struggles that had tested his character now fueled a singular ambition that few players would dare voice, surpassing Eric Dickerson's seemingly untouchable single-season rushing record of 2,105 yards. Like a storm that had been brewing for years, Lewis unleashed his fury on the NFL with a performance that would leave the football world stunned. In just the second week of the season against the Cleveland Browns on September 14th, Lewis shattered the single-game rushing record, amassing an astounding 295 yards on 30 carries. This was no coincidence or good fortune. Lewis had actually predicted his record-breaking day to a Browns defender before the game, a bold declaration that proved prophetic. The numbers told a story of dominance: 9.8 yards per carry and 2 touchdowns in a commanding 33-13 victory. As Lewis carved through Cleveland's defense with unstoppable power, his teammate Jonathan Ogden approached him at halftime with words that would become a pivotal moment of recognition: "Go get 300 yards." Though falling just short of that round number, Lewis had established a new NFL benchmark that would stand until 2007. This record-breaking performance launched a season of remarkable consistency. Lewis thundered through defenses for 6 consecutive 100-yard games, including a Week 14 showcase against Cincinnati, where he rumbled for 180 yards and 3 touchdowns, demonstrating his ability to dominate regardless of defensive schemes. The Ravens made no secret of their strategy. With rookie quarterback Kyle Baller still developing, Baltimore's game plan was transparent: give the ball to Jamal and watch him work. Lewis carried the ball 387 times throughout the season, a workload highlighting both his exceptional durability and critical importance to Baltimore's success. By season's end, Lewis had accumulated 2,066 rushing yards, becoming just the 5th player in NFL history to break the 2,000-yard barrier. What made this achievement remarkable was how defenses specifically schemed to stop him, often stacking 8 or 9 defenders in the box. His season-long dominance over Cleveland continued in Week 16 when Lewis pounded them for another 205 yards on just 22 carries in a 35-0 blowout. He was removed from the game in the late third quarter, later reflecting, "I would have gotten the 60-plus yards that I needed to break the season record, I can tell you that." The accolades followed: NFL Offensive Player of the Year, NFL Most Valuable Player, First-Team All-Pro honors, and a Pro Bowl selection. What made Lewis's 2003 season truly special was the perfect marriage of physical gifts with mental resilience. A player who had overcome devastating injury and personal setbacks, now channeling that experience into one of the most dominant individual seasons ever produced by a running back. That record-breaking 2003 season would prove to be the peak of Jamal Lewis's NFL mountain. While that historic campaign cemented his place in the record books, his journey after this pinnacle reveals something statistics alone can't capture: the true measure of athletic resilience in the face of inevitable decline. After several more productive seasons with Baltimore, Lewis joined the Cleveland Browns, the very team against whom he delivered his most punishing performances. In Cleveland, Lewis demonstrated remarkable persistence, posting back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons in 2007 and 2008, proving his durability extended beyond his Baltimore years. But football extracts a brutal toll. By 2009, Lewis's body began betraying him in ways that willpower alone couldn't overcome. A concussion ended his final season prematurely, and at age 30, typical retirement age for running backs, he walked away from the game. His career concluded with 10,607 rushing yards and 58 touchdowns, placing him 25th all-time in NFL rushing history. Statistics create an incomplete portrait of Lewis's impact. When compared to contemporaries like Terrell Davis, Edgerrin James, and LaDainian Tomlinson, Lewis's resume shows both strengths and limitations. His rushing total exceeds Davis's, but his touchdown production falls short of Tomlinson's. As football analyst Rick Gosselin noted, Lewis's single Pro Bowl appearance works against him in Hall of Fame conversations, despite his dominance during prime years. Lewis's career yards per carry average of 4.2 fails to capture the fear he struck in opposing defenses. Numbers can't show how defensive coordinators built entire game plans around stopping him, or how defenders braced themselves before collision with the punishing runner. The stark contrast between on-field glory and post-career struggles defines Lewis's complete story. In a candid 2018 interview, he revealed depths of despair many retiring athletes face. "You think about death," Lewis admitted. "I've thought about suicide. I've thought about ending it all." This confession resonated powerfully throughout the football community. giving voice to struggles many former players endure silently. For Lewis, financial pressures, family challenges, and concerns about brain trauma from concussions created a perfect storm of post-career difficulties. Yet he refused to become another cautionary tale. Instead, Lewis transformed his journey into a success story. As president of Southeast Exhibits and Metro Retail Solutions, he applied his on-field determination to building a thriving business. On high school sidelines coaching his son's team, Lewis shares not just football knowledge, but hard-won wisdom about life beyond the game. Most importantly, Lewis has become an advocate for athletes navigating retirement, normalizing conversations about mental health that sports culture has historically avoided. Perhaps his most important contribution to the game he once dominated. Jamal Lewis's legacy extends far beyond the gridiron. His 2012 induction into the Ravens Ring of Honor cemented his place in franchise history, while his post-career journey reveals his greatest impact. Lewis has emerged as a powerful voice for athletes battling mental health challenges after retirement. As president of Southeast Exhibits and Metro Retail Solutions, his successful business transition represents a victory perhaps more meaningful than any on-field achievement. Lewis redefines sports greatness through both competitive excellence and lasting impact beyond the game. His story reminds us that true success isn't measured solely by statistics, but by how we transform our personal struggles into strength.